I also want to thank you for what you spoke about on the Late Late Show and what you've come out and been open and honest about. And I followed suit a couple of weeks later. Seeing a man like yourself being willing to talk about things like that has helped men like me and others. But I want to bring you back to the time, if you're happy to do so.
Of course,
when you were struggling with that, and that breaking point. When did you realise that it was just becoming too much?
Oh, I mean, it was. I was going through the summer last year, really, like, and it just started. Just started going downhill rapidly, and I did that sort of man thing where, it'll be grand and I'll be all right, and just if you can just get through this week or this month or whatever. But it just progressively got worse and worse and worse and worse. And to the point that psychiatrists was on the phone every 2 days and they're saying, you're just going to have to get into hospital. We've tried so much at this point. I was on a lot of sedatives at this point, and, I was really all over the place. And then I just had, I mean, it's strange, hard to say, but I had one moment where I just thought I just literally cannot take anymore. I'm very lucky I had Stephanie, my friend Stephanie, to ring and say, it's kind of, I don't think I'm going to get through the end of the day, I remember saying. And she had sent me a message. I woke up to it, thankfully, that said, no time is too early, no time is too late. I'm always here for you, pal. I love you, whatever you need. So I rang her 4 o'clock in the morning. I went up to her house and she took me for a bowl of porridge. How she found porridge in Dublin at 4 o'clock in the morning, I will never know, but she did. And that was kind of the moment that I accepted I had to go into the hospital, and went into the hospital. And yeah, I mean, it literally changed my life. It was the best thing I've ever done, to be honest. I'd like to go back every so often, just for it's like a retreat, to be honest. Like, it really is. It really is.
Fair play. That's a big decision, a very brave decision to bring yourself to St. Pat's. You're in for 11 weeks.
Into St. Pat's for 11 weeks. Yeah. I thought I was going in for 4. And I was there with my boss, because I was just so afraid of losing my job. I went into Kevin in Nova, and I was like, it's going to be 4 weeks, worst case scenario. And then I'm ringing them at 6 going, another 2 weeks, another 2, and it was another 2 and another 2. But,
and it's surpassed your expectations.
It's an amazing place, and like the workplace stuck with me so well. And it was, honestly, I don't know what I had in my head. I thought in my head it was going to be like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Genuinely.
That would be my image of it.
Genuinely, I thought it was just going to be people who are just beyond repair, and or whatever that means, and that, you were sedated and left in corner. I had the craziest idea. It's like a retreat, It's really a brilliant...
It helps you relax and reset.
It's just a brilliant place, yeah, it really is. Just reset, and you get looked after really well, and too well, in fact. You start thinking, don't really want to get out. But it was a brilliant place to go, and just so glad I was able to do it. Not everyone is, so I was lucky, lucky too.
An amazing service and just incredible staff.
They're unreal. Yeah, they really are. I don't know how they do it, to be honest, because you go in such a state, and immediately they settle your nerves and make you feel at home, even though you're not at home in your own body, but you feel at home there,
Yeah, absolutely. This conversation around mental health, it's always improving, but I suppose there's always room for improvement. And I suppose for you, I know you've said in the past that you kind of maybe felt a bit excluded from the conversation. Why was that, do you think?
Because the whole mental health term didn't feel like it made sense to me, Like, mental health to me, you hear about, everyone's talking about mental health, like, eat better food and go to the gym, but like, my mental health wasn't suffering. I was severely mentally ill. So we don't talk about mental illness so much. It's all like mental health, and I knew that none of these things I was reading or hearing in the conversations were going to matter. I needed round-the-clock, 24-hour care. And that's not something I'd heard. So whenever anyone was saying, oh yeah, my mental health, or I have anxiety problems or depression problems, which are all really serious things, of course they are, but saying your mental health is suffering is one thing, saying you're really mentally ill is another. I thought it was. So it actually held me off going to the hospital, I think, a lot of that conversation. It was only when people turned around and says, no, it's okay to be, broken, that I was able to sort of say, fine, I'll try to get fixed. But I did feel broken. Like, it wasn't something that was eat veg, go for a walk, talk to your mates. It was way beyond that,
Yeah.
It's so interesting to see from that angle. I never thought about that. It has to go past that sometimes, and the fact that you're so honest is really admirable. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that can relate to that. So fair play to you, PJ. But you seem to be doing a lot better now.
I'm doing a lot better. I'm in great form these days. Yeah, I am.
And when did you realise that PJ was back to himself?
I mean, it was this time last year. I was getting ready to get out of the hospital, and I remember getting so much better, but I was in this weird place where I felt really well, but I couldn't laugh, And I laugh a lot. Like, I laugh an awful lot. And this nurse told this really stupid story about a donkey in Turkey that went haw-hee instead of hee-haw. And I was like, that's just... And it was like midnight, and we were all sitting... It was just this really stupid story. She said she had a Turkish boyfriend, and he said donkeys go haw-hee. They had this argument, and they saw a donkey on the road and pulled over, and the donkey went haw-hee. But I just remember laughing, like really belly laughing for the first time in like 6, 7, 8 months, whatever. And I was like, oh my God, I'm on the way back. Like, I'm actually on the way back. It was just a real turning point, you know?
Yeah, that's incredible, man.
It was weird, the silly things you remember. And the amount of people that have given me cards and cups with haw-hee written on it since then. I've a whole kitchen full of haw-hee stuff at the moment. Yeah. And Charlie haw-hee stuff, and like, they give me all this.
That's good.
But also around this time, your mother had fallen ill, and unfortunately she passed away last November.
In November,
Yeah, commiserations to you and your family.
Yeah, thanks, yeah. It was just been a wild 12 months, you know. And even though she was sick, it still comes as a shock, you know. Even though you know someone's sick, it's just... We just didn't see it coming, but like, in a way, I'm glad it was this year and not last year, because I have all the tools I need now to deal with these things. So it was very upsetting for us, of course, but...
And you and your family are processing all that.
And we're still processing it and getting through it and working on it, but we're all doing good, you know. We are doing good. And my ma was as mad as a brush, so you get a lot of crack out of the memories and talking about her as well, you know.